Here we are looking at the spinal cord. In the image on the left, the spine is sliced cross-sectionally. So looking at this cross-section of the spine, we can see two main areas. There's a darker H-shaped area in the middle and a lighter area surrounding this dark H-shaped area. The darker H area is known as grey matter and gets its colour from being largely made up of cell bodies and unmyelinated neurons. The surrounding light matter is called white matter and gets its colour by being largely made up of myelinated neurons. We also see these terms dorsal and ventral coming up quite a bit. We've come across these terms before, and if you think back to the directions in the vertebrate nervous system, dorsal means towards the surface of the back and ventral means towards the surface of the front or the chest. So the two dorsal arms are referred to as dorsal horns, while the two ventral arms are referred to as ventral horns. There are also 31 pairs of spinal nerves joined either side of the spine, like you see in this image here. These nerves are joined to the cord via the ventral root and the dorsal root. Neurons in the dorsal root are sensory unipolar neurons, and their cell bodies group just outside the spine and form the dorsal root ganglion. This is in contrast to neurons in the ventral root, which are multipolar motor neurons, and their cell bodies are found in the ventral horns. There are 5 major divisions of the brain that are initially formed in embryonic development, beginning as a fluid-filled tube composed of 3 sections: the hindbrain, the midbrain, and the forebrain, like you see in these sections here. As the brain develops further, both the forebrain and the hindbrain continue to swell, and each develops into 2 different swellings, like we see here. The hindbrain develops into the metencephalon and the myencephalon, while the forebrain develops into the telencephalon and the diencephalon. These 5 swellings are the beginnings of the 5 major areas of the brain, like we see mapped out here in this image of the fully developed brain. Now the myencephalon can also be referred to as the medulla. The telencephalon, which we see at the top, is made up of the cerebral hemispheres and experiences the most growth out of the 5 sections. The telencephalon sits atop the other 4 sections, which together are known as the brainstem. Now, to help with remembering the names and the order they come in, I use a short nonsensical story using the first letters of each of the sections. So what I say is Mike's method messes with distinguished theories. The MI in Mike sounds a bit like the beginning of myelencephalon and helps me remember that this section comes first. Similarly, method sounds a bit like the beginning of metencephalon, which again helps me remember that this section comes second. So obviously you can come up with your own story or way of remembering it, but hopefully that's useful.